is to fit my tail vise, which is going in this slot here. Now, I do have a piece of timber just flopping about in the breeze here, and that has been designed that way because, well, I want a tail vise. There will be an apron or a skirt on the end of this, which will support the timber. Where am I looking? There we go. Which will actually support this tail vise and hold it nice and rigid. And this piece of timber is bridge building timber, as in Jarrah. What it will do is it will fit roughly there, and the tail vise screw, nut block and everything will ride against this. So again, it needs to be brick supermarket strong, and bridge building material will suffice for that. This is the material we are going to use. So this is the first time that Jarrah has actually come into this build. This will be the two laminated ends for this end, for the tail vise end of the workbench. I was going to do single, but, well, you know, why not use two? And when I looked at the installation instructions, it required a piece of timber roughly 100 millimeters wide. This will come in about 95 millimeters or thereabouts. So my job today is to get this machined to final dimension. It's machined on one edge, well, sorry, it's machined on 3 faces, but I haven't machined the final face here. So I'll machine them. I will then cut some dominoes in there to laminate them, glue it up, clamp it. While the glue's drying, I will clean the tail vise edge up and then glue it into place. That will mean that this piece of timber right here will be rock solid and become even more rock solid, as there's another piece of timber, another piece of Jarrah outboard of this, and it will all be locked in together with fasteners. Okay, so cue the time lapse for some Jarrah machining and dominoing. Okay, I've just spent a day getting this piece of bridge building material tuned into to the edge of my bench here. It took a bit of stuffing about because I wasn't sure about this, about the edge going into, I'll see if I can show it, the edge on the bench. You know, it wasn't as true as I would have liked it to be. I've got nice big thick long stainless steel bolts holding it in, and then it will be dominoed and glued in place as well. Now the next job is to start on my routing for my vise. So I've set up a rail and I dialed it in with a pattern following bit, so it is parallel to the gap I have left. I'm hoping this shows up. There we go, to the gap I have left here. So in this area I'm going to cut a notch, roughly 19 millimeters square, 3/4 of a banana square, and that's where the first rail to support my tail vise will go. I'm doing it this way because I don't want to forever remove and replace my large lump of Jarrah. Sorry about the bumping. I don't want to remove and replace my my Jarrah. So I'm going to get stuck into routing this first mortise for my tail vise. Read the instructions, bullhead. Okay, what you see here is the underside of my tail vise. It's also called a wagon vise, and it will be flush with the top of my workbench. I've got the underside of this workbench here. Basically what it is it's a way of having a vise set into the workbench top. I've got a large, looks like most likely an ACME thread. There's a nut under this plate, and we've got a handle which is sort of out of shot. I'll show you that in a moment. Turn the handle, it moves back and forward. Simple as that. Now, the reason why I say read the instructions is because you saw me route the mortises for these two rails here and here. And when I did so, I got them spot on, perfectly flush with the bottom of my workbench. Yeah, they're not supposed to be that way. They're supposed to be set outside of the workbench for two reasons. One, the handle, I'll see if I can go the right way. I'll bet you I'll get it wrong. Oh, sweet, I got it right. This handle here needs to be underneath the actual workbench, so it doesn't sort of stop bits of timber from hanging out. It doesn't sort of interfere with any work I do on the bench. Now, the way I can disassemble this, the way it works is this. What I am removing now is the actual plate or the support for the travelling jaws or dog block of the vise. They just come off with 2 cap screws, and the support, now I got it the wrong way, didn't I? And the support can slide out. That's the other reason why the rails needed to be higher than or set underneath the workbench. I screw this out and I remove this piece of timber, and I can remove the tail vise nut. He's going to come all the way out, and then the tail vise nut, this piece, is what actually clamps the work. This creates the clamping force for my tail vise. Then again, technology sometimes smarter than the user, which is not all that surprising. Then I can remove the hand wheel, put him to one side, and then my tail vise screw can come out. And the great way with this is that I can then maintain the vise without moving my the actual bushing or the support for the dog for the tail vise. This is the reason why I've got this double width piece of Jarrah bridge building material on this end, and why I've bolted it in with big 12mm by 200mm lag screws. Okay, so that's the tail vise pretty much installed. I have to do a few other things, basically build the travelling jaw for it, and then the tail vise will be ready to go. Alrighty, I've flipped over my bench top, so we are now actually looking at the top of the bench. And when it was off the frame, I did some fettling with the frame to make sure that all the bench vise hardware cleared any of the members and those kinds of things. I also gave it a final coat of finish, so pretty much the base is buttoned up. The bench top I've left unfinished for the moment because I'd like to get all of the parts, components of the vices all sorted out before I finish the whole lot in one go. What you're looking at is the travelling jaws for my tail vise. We have the plate that will run in the rails and the nut block. This is the part that will actually apply clamping force to my parts when I use the tail vise. It does require a piece of timber to run in this slot. This is the jaw of the vise. At the moment it's a little bit on the large side, and I haven't waxed and smoothed the inside of the tail vise. What I have to do now is I have to cut a notch out of this piece of timber. I've marked it here to mount on the nut block. We'll call this the dog block because I will drill a bench dog hole through it at a later date. So the best way of cutting a notch out of a piece of timber like this is on the bandsaw, so that's what we're going to move to next. Okay, this is my bandsaw. Now bandsaws are a really cool piece of kit. What bandsaws can do is they can cut and leave a straight line. I need a line that is at 90 degrees down here. And a circular saw or a table saw won't be able to do that, because the circular saw will cut a curve like that. So I won't be able to get two intersecting 90-degree cuts. They're really good for doing through cuts that travel all the way through a piece of timber and divide the piece of timber into two. I just want to get this little notch out of this piece of timber, so we'll use the bandsaw for that. I had a very PTSD laden nightmare night a couple of days ago, and so I didn't actually get around to doing this job until I had a good night's sleep. The reason for that is scary blade. So I'm going to set up the blade guides a little bit better for this piece of timber. We will cut one notch, set up the fence to cut the other notch, and this intersection here will be at 90 degrees to each other in all three dimensions. Okay, these are the blade guides. There's another one underneath this saw, underneath this table, and this holds the blade running up and down. I try and get them as close as I can to the workpiece, because that leaves less space for fingers and things to get in the way and, well, get potentially cut off. Unless, of course, I put the blade guides down too low, in which I've done in this case. I forgot about a little knob on the other side. There we go. Take two. And there you have it, a nice square cut to suit the my dog block, so to suit my tail vise nut. Okay, let's see if it fits. Oh yeah, fits like a glove. Really happy. If you are too, liking what I'm doing, give that thumbs up button a touch up for me, okay? Thanks.